Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the basics of setups in sim racing. We'll take a look at tire pressures, anti-roll bars and the aerodynamics. We're taking a look at the impact of these setup changes as well as a couple of do's and don'ts so you don't have to make any unnecessary mistakes. We'll also analyze the effects of some of the setup changes with the Track Titan platform where you can analyze your own driving for free. Now before we start making any changes, know that most sim racing titles provide you with an adequate standard setup that will be competitive, especially when you're just starting out. They're not tailored to your driving style, so there are probably some areas in which they can be improved specifically for your needs. Now, if you don't want to bother with making setup changes on your own, you can always buy some esports setups. Here at Track Titan, we offer some esports proven setups for both ACC and iRacing, so you can perform at the top of your game. But if you do want to create your own setups, realize that you must first have a goal in mind before you start making any changes. Do you want to reduce under or oversteer? Does the car feel too stable or too twitchy? And many more questions can be asked to find out what kind of setup changes you need to make. When you know what you're aiming for, make one change at a time and see how it affects the drivability of the car. If you change more than one thing at a time, it will be harder to figure out which change has which specific effect, especially when you're just starting out with making setup changes. Now with that out of the way, let's jump into it. One of the most important setup changes you can make in real life and in sim racing is optimizing your tire pressures. Tire pressures affect three things: the amount of grip your tires have, how hot they will get, and how the tires will degrade over the course of the race. When your tires are at their optimal pressure, theoretically they will perform their best. They'll have a good amount of grip, they won't get too hot, and they'll have an evenly distributed degradation pattern. Now in most cases we want to aim for that optimal tire pressure, but in reality it can be a little hard to pinpoint exactly. In ACC, the optimal tire pressure for GT3 cars is between 26 and 27 psi. But in iRacing things can get a little more complicated as different car classes require whole different setups. Now here's how you can find a tire pressure that works for you through a little bit of trial and error. Run a few laps to warm up the tires and take note of how the car drives. Increase the tire pressures a little bit and see if your lap times improve. Now, if your lap times and the drivability of your car improve, you can repeat this process until you plateau. If this is not the case, try out some lower tire pressures and see if they help you to improve your driving. A good rule of thumb is that you'll benefit from higher tire pressures on high-speed tracks, and you'll benefit from lower tire pressures on tracks with a lot of lower speed winding corners, as the contact patches of your tire will be larger, providing you with somewhat more grip. The anti-roll bars help to reduce body roll of your car during cornering. They connect the left and the right wheels together through some short lever arms and greatly affect the nervousness of your car. A common misconception about anti-roll bars is that stiffer is always better, but this is not true in most cases. You have a front and a rear anti-roll bar and they have the following effects. The front anti-roll bar mostly impacts the behavior of your car on corner entry, and the rear anti-roll bar mostly impacts the behavior of your car when you get on the throttle out of a corner. It's very important to keep your setup goal in mind when you're making changes to the anti-roll bars. If you're having trouble on corner entry, you want to change your front anti-roll bar. If you want to reduce understeer on corner entry, soften it up a little bit. And reducing oversteer on corner entry requires the front anti-roll bar to be stiffer. Now, when you're having trouble on corner exit, you want to take a look at that rear anti-roll bar. You'll want to soften up your rear anti-roll bar to make the car more stable on corner exit, and stiffen it up a little bit if you want to reduce understeer. We can beautifully see the effects of changing the anti-roll bars through Silverstone's Luffield corner when we check out these 2 laps on the Track Titan platform. The orange driver is using ACC's standard aggressive setup, while in the blue driver's case the anti-roll bars have been softened up a little bit. In the speed chart we can see that the blue driver maintains a higher minimum speed throughout the corner while having virtually the same racing line. Now this is a great example of the increased grip softer anti-roll bars can provide. And lastly, we're on to the aerodynamics. An important fact to keep in mind is that aero provides grip at medium to high speeds, so it does not really help you in low speed corners. So we'll want to change the aero when we're having trouble in those medium or high speed situations. Let's talk about the rear wing first, as this is the component that can be changed most often. Increasing the amount of rear wing will increase the amount of downforce your car has at the rear. This way you can get rid of oversteer problems because your rear tires will be supplied with more grip. But too much rear wing can introduce understeer and even decrease your top speed as it increases drag, slowing you down in fast sections. In some GT cars you can change the angle of the front splitter as well, and in most Formula cars a front wing can be changed. Increasing the amount of aero in the front will give you more downforce, resulting in more grip being supplied to the front tires. When you set it right, it can decrease understeer, but too much front downforce can introduce oversteer, so you gotta be careful with this one as well. Now we hope you've learned something about setups today and know the basics to start tinkering with your own setups if you feel like your car is not completely as you'd like it to be. Let us know in the comments down below if you have any questions about what we've discussed today, and we hope to see you in the next video.